Today we're going to have our first lesson in Photopea. Photopea is a imaging program. It's a graphics design program used to manipulate, to readjust, to retouch images, photographs, and you can also create in Photopea. It's very, very similar to Photoshop, and so that way, if you decide to come back to face-to-face, you'll have some experience with using a graphic design program such as Photopea, and you can go right into using Photoshop because they're very, very similar. For our lesson today, we're going to be focusing on how to make selections and image adjustments. Let's get started. Go up to File, Open, and I need you to open up the file you were supposed to download called Selection Basics. Click Open. And we have this nice picture of a city, a downtown street. And it looks to me like it is probably, the morning time, the sun's about to come up. But we want to do a little modification to this. And in order to do that, I want just to modify the building, and then I want to modify the sky by itself. In order not to do them both at the same time, we're going to use our selection tool. Our tools are located on the left-hand side of our screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to select this building, and then we're going to make an image adjustment. So over here, if you click on this square, it's called your rectangle select. And then come over here, click and drag, and select this area right here. Now then, one thing you need to know, if you accidentally select too much of something, up here, this second bar right here is called your options bar. This is your menu bar. And we have the selection where we can subtract from what we just did. So I don't exactly want the parking lot with it. So I'm going to take and select the portion I want to subtract from my selection. So when I do so, I can tell that it has been subtracted. These lines that go around are called marching ants. And this lets me know that this is my selection. This is what I have selected. So we have a selection here. Now let's make a simple image adjustment. We come up to the word image, adjustments, and let's go to brightness and contrast. And our brightness contrast menu pops up. These are called sliders. And when you move them to the right, you're adding in. And when you move them to the left, you're subtracting out. Let me show you. I'm adding in more brightness. And then you start seeing the negative numbers. That means I'm subtracting out any light. So I'm going to bump this up to about 30. And if you can't get it right off the bat, then you just can click in it, highlight it, and type it in yourself. So there's 30. And let's look at the contrast now. So I'm going to take my contrast down to a -20. If you can't see a difference in your picture itself, then make sure that you have your preview button checked. Then I'll simply click OK. Now then, if you notice, I still have this selected. It will stay selected until I deselect or do something different. Well, remember whenever I told you that whatever is selected is the only thing that we will be making adjustments to. When we made our adjustment, just then, nothing in the sky was affected because only what is in our marching ants in the selected area will be impacted by our adjustment. Well, you know what? I want to do everything else. So whenever I want to do everything else, doesn't mean I have to go and reselect something. No, there's a very, very, very simple way to do that. I come up here to the word select, click, and then I'm going to click on inverse. So look what happened. It went and it flipped the selection now from what I had chosen, and now it's selecting and choosing everything else. So now let's go on up here to the word image, adjustments, and now let's do a hue saturation. The word hue means color. The same thing in this menu that popped up for hue and saturation, we have sliders. If we go to the right, we're adding it in. We go to the left, we're going to be taking in different colors. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that it says range, master. That means you're affecting all the colors all at one time. You can just work on one color at a time. Like I could just work with the reds, the hue of red, and the saturation of it. Or I can look at and just do the yellows. I'm going to reset that and I'm going to go back to master. So what I'd like to do is I kind of want to make this kind of a pop art, funky kind of photograph. So I'm going to look at the different hues that I can add, kind of saturation I can put in with it. And adjust my lightness. Looks okay. So I've gone to 70, 75, and -40. And then I click OK. Now notice it only affected the opposite area. We did the inverse, but it is still selected so that we don't accidentally affect something or do an image adjustment when we don't want to. We need to deselect. Deselecting is very, very simple. On your keyboard, you can do Control and the letter D as in dog, and it deselects. You could also go up to the word select and click on deselect, but knowing keystrokes is a really handy thing. So there we did it. We know how to make a selection and how to deselect, and we know where our image adjustments are. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to save it in so that you can upload it to me as a grade. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to export it as a JPEG. So I click on JPEG. This comes up, and I'm going to save. All right. So whenever, look, it's saving. I know it's saving because it's going down to the bottom of my screen. And then you'll go to Canvas, and you will upload it in the Assignment tab. If you have any questions, please email me.